We have a former Steelers first-round pick heading out west. Also, a couple of new Steelers make their first impression. All that and more, Big Deke News. Steelers 2019 first-round pick, linebacker over these last 4 years, 5'5", also known as that cat Devin Bush, is gone, as yesterday he signed with the Seattle Seahawks on a 1-year deal. And here's what Steeler Nation had to say about the move on Twitter. Pickett to Pickett season says, they did it at midnight, so nobody would make fun of them, implying that the Seahawks signed Devin Bush late in the night, so not as many eyes would see. At Gus is Goated says, Devin Bush making a tackle. Y'all know that ain't happening. Bedbugs Uptown comments, did you spell Seattle Sea Dragons wrong? Saying that Devin Bush should be in the XFL. At Wreckage Dawn _ questions, did Pete play in the league? LOL. This is in reference to Devin Bush's tweet during Wildcard Weekend. At TSpark423 says Pete Carroll's retirement gift from the Berg, thinking that this is going to be the signing that sends Pete Carroll off to the sunset. Finally, AB's Burner says Seattle is the home of Pittsburgh first-round bust, referring to Artie Burns and now 5'5". After the Holcomb and Roberts additions, I believe it was clear the Steelers were going in a different direction with their inside linebackers, and Devin Bush was definitely not going to come back. Instead of finesse, now we go bruisers. Just look at this stat alone. 2022 tackles for loss, Landon Roberts with 10. The combination of Robert Spillane, Miles Jack, and Devin Bush, only 9. The highlights of D. Bush's career here, I believe all came from his rookie season, because after that ACL tear in year 2, it never really felt like he got back to that. And don't get me wrong, I don't think he played bad last year. It was definitely an improvement over 2021, but it still felt like the team couldn't rely on him in the run game, and that's kind of important when you're talking about an inside linebacker. So let's just say the cliche line, D. Bush, best of luck out in Seattle, except for whenever you're playing the Steelers. And you might need that luck or good fortune or good play, whatever you want to call it, to get in the good graces of Seahawk fans after you wanted to send them to a not so very good place. In other news, newly acquired Steelers Patrick Peterson and Nate Herbig gave their introductory press conferences yesterday. So let's hear what they had to say, and we'll give our takeaways and reactions. First, Pat P on what he sees with this Steelers team, and also Kenny Pickett.
Defensive side of the ball, you got stars on all 3 levels. Then you go on the offensive side of the ball, did a great job over the last couple of years of picking great young talent. You got receivers, you got running back, you got now you have a nice young dual threat quarterback. You can see that he has that pedigree, because once he stepped into the lineup, you just seen a different identity and a new pizzazz that came with him being in the lineup. So it's a lot of great talent around here. And when you have, Coach T that's going to continue to get the best out of players, so everything's there. Now it's just going to be upon us to go out there and execute the game plan, stand healthy.
Love to hear it. And I'd say people that know football, particularly here in Steeler Nation, share very similar sentiments. So I think it's safe to say Pat P knows ball. But here's him also talking about potentially taking on a mentor role here in Pittsburgh.
I love that. I love that role. I'm the oldest of 5, so it's kind of like in my nature. Ever since I've been, ever since I can remember. So they haven't expressed any of that to me, but that's just something that comes with me. No one has to tell me, we think you should, help this guy out. What I've done so far in my career, I feel like I have so much that I can share on to the next generation. And why would I want to hold on to that? Because I want to continue seeing guys play as long as they want, accomplish the goals that they set out for themselves. So if there's a nugget or any advice that I can give them, I'm all for it.
I think this makes taking a corner early in the draft make even more sense. And with the versatility Pat P suggests he could still bring to the table, we don't have to specify specifically on a slot. We could still draft an outside guy.
Going into year 13, I always used to beg my coaches, like, man, just put me other places, because I always felt like if you're able to have, a quality athlete, you just don't want to limit him into one solid thing. You want to make it hard on the quarterback. You want to make it hard as possible on the quarterback throughout downs. So if you know a guy's going to be lined up in a certain spot every single position, he's going to know how to avoid that guy. So when you have guys that have not only special talents on, covering, but implementing a little blitz, implementing a little post safety or robber safety or whatever the case may be, that's going to make it harder for opposing offenses to game plan for us. And I don't know what the plan is just yet, but I'm definitely open for it because
overall, Peterson was absolutely first class in this interview. If you want to check it out, the full thing's up on the Steelers YouTube channel. So I'm happy he's here. I'm also happy he was cool with not taking the number 7 because the number 7 was never available, nor will it be for the rest of the time. But Peterson decided on number 20, paying homage to his cousin, Brian McFadden, but also was the number Cam Sutton just wore. So there's that. I feel like number 2 was the better option, though. I think 2 would have looked way more dope. I do have some conspiracy theories surrounding it. Is it just the single digits? Or a young man's number? Like, once you're past 30, you don't rock a single digit. I'm sure there's outliers, but maybe there's that. What about the Steelers potentially bringing back Mason Rudolph? They're leaving the door open. Or do the Steelers want to give some space from the Mason Rudolph era in Pittsburgh? They realize how he was treated here, constantly being kicked in the nuts, and just want to at least give him that. Like, hey, we're not going to give your number right away to the first person we sign. Let's wait a little bit. Let's wait at least a month. So that can maybe be the case. For Nate Herbig, in his interview, he gave the simplest, most sincere, yet profound responses that you could probably give. One thing we know for sure, he's happy to be here.
I'm happy to be here. Just happy to be here. I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be a part of this team. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to represent.
And it's clear he loves the game of football.
I love football. I love to play the game of football. I'm ready to play football. Love the game of football. I think it's an art. I think it should be played a certain way, and that's why I love to play the game. I just love football. We love football.
Also discusses on why he chose the Steelers.
It's the Steelers. Like, come on, what isn't there about it?
And finally, here's Nate on what he likes and sees about this team.
Studs everywhere. I think they're really building something here.
So obviously, based off these responses, it feels like this is going to be a great fit here. But what we didn't realize when we signed Nate is now somehow the team is going to draft his brother, Nick Herbig, outside linebacker out of Nebraska. It's a package deal. Why? Because it is what we do. It is the Steeler way. And Tomlin can't help himself. He just loves it. That's it for this edition of Big Deke News on a Friday, St. Patty's Day, March 17th. So celebrate, stay safe out there, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm sure you'll be hearing from me again because I don't think the Steelers free agency is done. We'll hear something over the weekend for sure. But that is it. Stay chilling and peace.